we are about to have the biggest update and change to the way that we farm relics in Galaxy of Heroes. Never has Colosseum been more important, because this game mode is now actively going to be feeding you real live sources of getting Relic 7, 8, 9, and obviously 10. This is absolutely huge, guys. I can't understate this. What is going on, ladies and gentlemen of the tribe, and welcome back to another Galaxy of Heroes video with me, your bald boy Scribble, seeing in the Friday like it is meant to be seen in, with absolute debauchery. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, this is huge. This is absolutely incredible. This big change coming up is going to massively accelerate the rate at which we can actually relic units. It's insane. It is very much tied to Colosseum, and I know Colosseum is not people's favorite game mode, and I understand that. However, CG has been trying to push this same prerogative ever since the error system came into play, which is if you invest in new units, it is the best way to develop your roster at a fast pace, and they're really leaning into it with this upcoming change. It's going to be coming in a couple of days. It's huge. Okay, so as we know, Colosseum is the primary source of error currency. And right now, error currency is in this weird state of flux, right? We go to the error shipments. What can you purchase with it? Far too many coaxial servo motors. You know, I have a decent amount of Relic 10s, but I am a big endgame whale. And all I do is I build up my error currency, and then I big mollywop drop it on these coaxial servo motors and build them up over time. That's because my account is a late game account, and I don't really have much value for, you know, bottom fluffing these guys to Relic 6. These were our only options, Relic 10 or Lightspeed tokens. Now, my alt account absolutely loves the Erodium Lightspeed tokens. You're able to massively accelerate the pace at which you are able to go ahead and get legendary units unlocked, Galactic Legends, getting all your journey guides unlocked, even just rounding out some of your teams. These Lightspeed tokens are the de facto way of doing it. But in the next week update, we are going to see this store change drastically. Let's have a look. Now, I saw this on the Swigger Events Discord server, and check it out. We've got the standard stuff that we always see for your servo motors. Then you've got your Erodium Lightspeed tokens and your Carbonite Lightspeed tokens, but now we have a new addition. We've got impulse detectors, aero magnifiers, girder keypads, droid brains, and the big whammy down here, flawed signal data. But look at the price point for this. If I can move my fat head over here, look at the price point for this. 25 signal data, flawed signal data, for 1,250 of your error currency. Now, obviously, the big issue with this is you can only purchase from this store once a week, right? I'm not really that fussed about getting more servo motors. I have 240 of them, and when error battles come out, I gain additional servo motors because I invest Relic 10 into the journey guide unit, like we did it for Cassian and we did it for Maul, and we're going to do it for Rotter the Hutt. We'll speak about Rotter the Hutt in a separate video because I have my concerns about how ridiculously powerful he looks, alright? But anyway, when this comes into play, you're going to be able to purchase 25 flawed signal data every single week for just 1,250 currency. My free-to-play alt account currently, which is only about a year and 5 months old, is already getting 600 error currency a day. So I could easily afford that flawed signal data every week. To get 25 flawed signal data every week is actually so much bigger than what you would expect. That's more than you'll get in a day of triple energy refreshing. You could triple energy refresh your Cantina energy, and you might get 15, right? You might get 15 signal data in a day. Maybe if you're really lucky with drop rates, you'll get 20, but you could just as easily get kicked in the tuchus and get something like 9, you know? So for me, this flawed signal data is really addressing one of the biggest concerns I have in the game, which is how do we get access to more and more signal data, particularly flawed, because it has the lowest drop rate. Now, I do wish they gave the others, but I don't think it is a big deal that they don't feature here. Yes, the timing on this store is also a little bit awkward because it only refreshes once a week. When we look at the other things like droid brains, girder keypads, aeromags, and impulse detectors, these are all significant crunches for late game farming because you need so many Relic 7, 8, 9s, and 10s, right? You want to be investing in them. But I would say that overall, the ones that are most important is stuff like impulse detectors, right? Getting enough impulse detectors is tricky. Aeromags and droid brains, we can actually swap chirotech for, and in the late game, you do get access to quite a lot of chirotech. Especially with people nowadays, we don't really gear units anymore. Thanks to the aforementioned Erodium Lightspeed tokens. You don't really have to spend your resources actually gearing units now because you're only ever using it on Journey Guide units and Galactic Legends and Conquest units. And that's once every 3 months. So you're okay to actually build up your chirotech and turn them into other things. Before we get too excited about this though, ladies and gentlemen, can I just ask you all a very, very quick favor? When I check out my metrics, I see that about 50% of the people watching at home, that's you, ladies and gentlemen, are not currently subscribed to the channel. If you could do me an absolutely massive favor and just hit that subscribe, maybe click the notification bell so that you get informed whenever I make a new video, you would make my day. Big love. Impulse detectors as well, that's a source that I tend to go ahead and use my Mark III currency from, right? So we literally came off the end of last era not so long ago. I Relic 9'd the whole squad, Relic 10'd Cassian, and I've thrown on a couple more Relic 9s, did a couple of Relic 10s on some of my Galactic Legends and that sort of thing. But you can see that my girder keypad stock is quite low now. 39, I've got enough for nearly 2. I could get more. Aeromags, I could use this. Impulse detectors, that sort of thing. I tend to not purchase girder keypads almost at all, ever. I usually use my Gear 12 pieces, break them down, convert it, because I'm only farming furnaces for fleet energy, and that basically tops up my girder keypad alongside assault battles, era battles, keeping me afloat on girders. Aeromags is very much something that I just go to the scavenger for. You know, go to the scavenger, come on, open, open, open. Aeromags, and we just convert whatever chirotech we have for whenever we need, right? So that's what I use it for. Now, that's not to say that this store update over here to give us aeromags and impulse detectors and droid brains isn't worthwhile. It still is. But it really depends on how well you perform in Colosseum, right? Obviously, the more you invest, the better you perform in Colosseum, the more aero currency that you get. That's going to make it easier for you to invest over here. But this is obviously a really, really deliberate step from CG to be like, let's get these boys investing in their relic levels. You don't have to worry about, you know, investing in your old characters now, because if you are getting the new stuff and you're climbing in Colosseum and presumably the upcoming era-based PvP battle system, which is almost certainly going to be rewarding us additional era currency, we'll be able to chop, chive, and dip and dive on that one and throw it into either Lightspeed tokens, because, you know, you think about it, 3,500, that's cheaper than getting yourself 10 aeromags, but it will get you straight to Relic 5 on a unit, right? The constraint on those, of course, is that they have to be on legacy units. They have to be on units that have been out for over a year. All this stuff, you can use it on anything you want. You can go beyond Relic 5. This stuff will help you get to 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, all that good business. Obviously, you don't need these stuff here, but flawed signal data is just, oh, it's peak. I honestly, I wish this was you know, twice the cost, 3 times the cost, 4 times the cost, and just multiply this. If it was 100 and it cost you, what would that be, 5,000 error currency? That would be an absolute locked-in cert every single week, right? Could you imagine how that would transform your farming of things, right? When you think about this, over an era, say you're like me, you're an endgame player and you're looking to farm your signal data to take all the new units to like Relic 9, Relic 10 at the end of the era, right? That's a, what was that, 3-month period, right? 3-month period, 12 weeks. So you can multiply this by 12. What is that going to be? That's going to be 250 plus 50, 300? 300 flawed signal data. That is a significant amount. That is over 2 Relic 9s, essentially. No, it's about 2 Relic 9s, essentially, that this gets you for your weekly input. I know that doesn't sound like a lot, but when you think about it, you're still going to be refreshing your cantina. You're still going to be investing more heavily in, or exactly the same, in your cantina farms to keep that signal data flowing in. We know that Floyd is the hardest one to get. I absolutely love this. I want to see more of it. I want to see more of it. But it seems like CG is sticking to their guns when they said that they wanted people to accelerate their relic levels and get them faster and build people up quicker. They're obviously working towards that. They're working towards that. This is one of the biggest improvements I've seen to how we develop relic levels in a long, long time. I'm going to reiterate what I said before. I've said this months ago, said this, I think it was start of anniversary season, but we are getting Relic 11. These are the baby steps that they are doing to make it easier for us to get Relic 7, 8, 9, right? So that we can go to Relic 10. Once we hit Relic 10, we need Relic 11 because Relic Delta needs to be a thing. They need to push that. They want people to be able to invest in their units and feel like they have a real path to get there. Removing old bottlenecks and replacing it with new ones is kind of the name of the game. This is definitely contributing towards that. Fully expect us to see Relic 11 coming sometime before the end of the year. Definitely before the end of the year. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below, and I will see you all in the very next video. Peace out, and may the Force be with you.